Actually, this statement means actually there's a format, but there are equations. Equations. Then did you remember income statement? Gross profit plus other income plus minus other expenses. That's the equation for the income statement. Therefore, SOFP, statement of financial position, also has equation, right? Equation means accounting equation, right? I'll write down accounting equation: assets equal liability plus equity, right? Plus equity. Therefore, did you remember there are two types of assets and also there are two types of liabilities? Can you tell me what are the two types of assets? Types. Types. I'm not asking the examples. What are the types of assets? What are the types of assets? Types of asset actually. What? Let's assume now total assets. Let's assume 10,000. 10,000. And assume liabilities. Liabilities, let's assume 4,000. Right? 4,000 and equity 6,000. Right. But there are two types of assets and liabilities. What are the yes, good. Assets actually we can divide if we are able to get future benefits less than 12 months. We call current asset. CA means current asset. NCA means what? Non-current asset. Right? These two will be equal to the total asset. Let's assume current asset 2,000, non-current asset 8,000. Right? 8,000 in bracket. And also liability also same. There are two parts. If we have obligation within short period of time, we call current liability and non-current liability. Understand? Non-current liability. Current liability normally, let's assume an amount 1,000. Non-current liabilities assume 3,000. 3,000. Therefore, can you tell me what are the transactions impact on equity? I asked not examples. What are the types? There are 4 transactions impact on equity. Can you tell me what are the 4 types of transactions impact on equity? What are the 4 transactions impact on equity? Yes, good. Capital investments by the owners, drawings of the owners, and incomes and expenses. I will assume some amounts should be equal, right? Okay. Capital. Capital, let's assume increases the equity. No, let's assume 3,000 and drawings. Let's assume 1,000 and incomes lamai let's assume 7,000, income 7,000 and expenses, right? Let's assume 3,000, right? 3,000 minus deduct the equity. Look at the total of these 4. These 4 total will be now 6,000. No, here 4,000, 2,000. Finally will be 6,000. And that's the equity will be because of these 4 transactions. Understand? Because of these 4 transactions, 6,000, which will equal to the equity. Therefore, right? Can you tell me how much the profit here? How much the net profit here? Net profit means The difference between incomes and expenses, no? The difference between incomes and expenses. Therefore, instead of these two, you can identify net profit. Net profit, how much, Laman? Net profit will be 4,000. Normally, net profit will be calculating what's the statement that yesterday, that day before yesterday, Saturday, we learned that. From which statement are we able to calculate the net profit? What is the statement? Right. Income statement. Therefore, we can identify the net profit from the income statement. Income statement. Understood? Then there can be losses. Losses means expenses higher than incomes, right? Expenses higher than the incomes, which will be net loss. Net loss, right? Net profit means income higher than the expenses. Net profit. Normally, it will be calculated. You can calculate here, but you can use to calculate net profit or net loss from the income statement. Understood? Income statement. Normally, net profit will be added to the equity, yeah, because of incomes higher than the expenses, right? So you can you see the details here, in detail figures, right? In detail, you can see current asset, non-current, current liabilities, non-current liabilities. What are the transaction of equity? These things, Lama, you have to present as a table. You have to present as a table. That one we call what? Statement of financial position. Statement of financial position, right? Okay, I will teach you this is the equation. Huh? I will teach you the format. Before moving to that, please write down this one clearly. You have to present as a table. First of all, you have to write down the name of the business. Right, business name. And also I told you, statement of financial positions, preparing for a period, not for a period, for a date. Right, look like as at 31st March, right? As at December 31st, right? As an example, as at, right? I'll write on December 31st of 23, right? Right? You have to write down the period, date actually, which date you have to prepare, and write down the statement name. Statement of financial position. Financial position, right? Financial positions. Therefore, if you write down this one, title of the statement, you can keep in mind, you can obtain 1 mark. You can obtain 1 mark for the questions. Understand? You can either, if there are 10 marks, you can obtain 1 mark for the writing this business name and the date and the name of the state, right? Very easily you can obtain 1 mark, right? And also I will prepare the statement now. Don't write anything. I'll take 2 columns. Then if you have learned in O levels, right? There's a difference method, right? This is, I told you, basic format. Basic format, this will be changed. This will be expanded into 3 columns when we're doing equations in end of the grade 12. This is only basic one. Using how to prepare using SOFP, using based on accounting equations. See, basic formats, not that big one. Right. So now I will present first part of the equations, this part, the asset part, right? Asset part I will prepare in here. Understood? Therefore, here you have to write down, I will firstly keep in mind, firstly write down non-current asset, right? I will write down non-current asset. right? Normally, if then here not examples, no. If there are examples, like what are the examples for non-current assets? Land, building, motor vehicles, no, that over more than 1 year assets. Then you have to write down examples. Land, this much. Land, buildings, motor vehicles, investments, all the things you have to write down under this one. But here not the not examples. I will write down the amount 8,000 directly. Yeah, 8,000. If there are examples, you have to write down under the topic, right? Then get the total, right? We can prepare like that. Next one, current asset. Current asset. We write down here current asset. Current asset, how much? 2,000. And finally, you have to present here my total. If there are examples, keep in mind, examples, you have to write down trade receivables, inventories, cashes, you have to write down. I will teach that one how to prepare easily. Yeah? I mean, here how much? 10,000 asset finally. 10,000. I will write down here total asset. Total asset. Understood? Total asset. Please highlight that one. 10,000, right? Now we finished the first part of the equations. That's the way, yeah. We have to do the like first of all, you have to present the how much, what are the assets, top of the equation. Understood? Right. Next part, that according to the equation, next part will be liability, but we are not going to present liabilities here. The equations you can write down in any ways, but then you can write down asset equals equity plus liability. You can write down, but here we have to present what? First of all, the next part of the equation, this side, you have to present equity. Equity. But keep in mind, equity. Equity, you can't write down the total value. How much the value? 6,000 now. You can't write down the total value 6,000 here because there are 4 transactions. You have to present this equity in detail, and that's the difficult part of the SOFP, right? Little bit confusing part, right? We have to present equity in detail. Understand? We have present equity in detail. Understood? Therefore, we have to use these 4 transactions. Understood? We have to use these 4 transactions to present the equity in detail. Understood? Therefore, first one, what? Capital. Therefore, you have to present here capital. Make capital. How much during the period? Additional capital, 3,000. I'll write out first column. How much drawings? Drawings, 1,000 minus. Therefore, you have to deduct it here. Drawings. 1,000. Deductions amounts writing in brackets. Minus. Minus means you have to present in brackets. Minus. Right, brackets. Can you see the brackets here? Bracket. Bracket. In brackets. Minus figure. These 2. But here incomes and expenses you can't record here. What is the net impact of difference between incomes and expenses? And net profit, no. You can't write down incomes added minus expenses because of, right, we will preparing income statement and we have to identify net profit. Net profit, the difference between incomes and expenses. Understood? The difference between incomes and expenses. Therefore, right, Therefore, if there are a net profit, then net profit means that income increases. Therefore, if there's a net profit, instead of incomes and expense, you have to add it. Net profit means the higher amount of incomes. No? Therefore, you have to add it. Net profit. Net profit represent, right? Net profit represents incomes and expense both. Then from these three items, you can present four items. Incomes and expense present from net profit. Added. But sometimes there can be net losses. Then net losses means what? Then profit will be the net losses. Net loss. Net loss means minus income minus expenses. But expenses higher than the incomes, right? If there's a net loss, which means expenses higher than the incomes, that means minus figure higher is no. Therefore, if there's a net loss, sometimes, right, you have to deduct it. I will write down net loss, but there's no value. Net loss, you have to deduct it, right? If that net loss, make cross mark, that cross mark, right? You know, income net loss. You can't identify net loss and net profit at the same time. Definitely, there should be only one. If there's net profit, you have to add it. If there's net loss, you have to deduct it from the equity. Net loss means the expense figure has increased higher than the incomes. Net profit means incomes higher than the expense, right? Therefore, finally, you have to get equity total, make 6,000. And you have present in detail the equity burden. Now equity okay. Next one my liability. Liability also non-current liabilities, current liabilities. Presently, first of all, I present non-current liability. Non-current liability. Non-current liability, 3,000. If there are examples, we have to write down bank loans, right? Bank loans, you have to write down. Current liabilities. What are the types of current liabilities? Trade creditors. Therefore, right, if there are examples, we have to write down, but here I will write down here directly. Current liability. Current liability is how much? 1,000. 1,000. Understood. Therefore, the next part of the equation, liability plus equity, it should be equal to the asset, right? It should be equal to the asset. Therefore, SOFP also should be equal, right? Look at the equity and liabilities total. You have to write down equity and liability. Equity and liability, right? That one also will be 10,000, right? Should be equal. Understand? Should be equal. Should be equal. Understand? Accounting equations also make 10,000 assets equal to the here 10,000. Can you see the total? 10,000. Here also 10,000. 10,000. Therefore, this one actually equation. Can't you see the equations here? That same equations you have present in detail. And also normally keep in mind this one. Finally, net profit and net loss you have to get in from income statement, preparing income statement. Write down that one also in part of the net profit and net loss statement. Understood. Income state, right? Can't you see the equation here? Asset equal here equity plus liability. Right? Did you see the equation? But present tense in detail, no? Very easy, huh? Keep in mind